This is the state constitution of Western Australia. It was put in place with a letters patent on the 29th of October 1900 by Queen Victoria. It has a Form 6. It is Schedule C to the Constitution. It is attached to it. It cannot be removed. It lists how all the candidates are listed to be presented to you. Who does it? Only the governor of your state. Nobody else, not the political parties, not companies called electoral commissions, electoral bodies or anything else. No electoral act, it's all nonsense. It is a method of controlling how you vote. The governor takes a pool of people for the Legislative Assembly and the Legislative Council, and you are given a list of their names. You are given a Form 6, which is your voting form. You vote for one of them. Just one. Not A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all lies, fraud and nonsense. That is the law. This stands. You can't change this. It's a letters patent. 6.1.9 of the Statute of Monopolies says, we reserve unto ourselves the right to change these letters patent. Only the reigning monarch can change the letters patent. Nobody else. It's not been changed. It stands. It is law. You can't touch it. You interfere with this, you commit treason, both against the people and against the Crown of England. Now, you go to your federal election, which everybody is querying, because we've got one coming up, and it's all laid out about the Senate. This is a constitution from the federal government bookshop, and it is current until 31st of October. It was altered up to the 31st of October 1986. 1986, yeah, what a ripper. Right where they had the Australia Act. But it still remains the governors of the state collect all the people who are going to be put up for being voted into the Senate. The governor, not the federal parliament, not the political parties. Nothing to do with them. The Federal Electoral Commission and Act is a fraud. If it's set up for census purposes, fine. But to take votes in relation to the Senate, no. That is done by the governor of the state. He selects all the candidates and you vote for that. That is your representation to your position in the Senate for your state. 1/6 of the say is what you get because you are one of 6 states. That's the end of it. It cannot be interfered with. It cannot be increased or decreased. It stays there because it's locked into our constitution. Now, what they're trying to say is the political parties can put up the candidates. No, they can't. They can put them up for re-election, for all this and stand all this. That is all political nonsense. The candidates must be selected by the governor of the states. Then the candidates for the House of Representatives must be selected by the governor of the state. It follows the same process. Doesn't matter if you want to refer to this book or not. It's in there. It's the law. The governor of the state selects the candidates, not the political parties. If the political parties do, every single one of them are a fraud. You've got to look at the fact that the only part the Governor-General plays in an election is when the Prime Minister, on behalf of the Parliament, because he's the foreman, presents the documents to the Governor-General, he prorogues the Parliament. Prorogues means dissolve. How can you dissolve a Parliament and it keeps on governing, keeps on making laws, keeps on paying themselves? Why are they being paid? What are they doing there? The Parliament's dissolved. The new Parliament, who runs the country while that's not there? The Governor-General and the Executive Council, which he selects. From the new Parliament, he changes it. The others walk away. They are there precisely to run the country while we're waiting for the election to happen. Nobody else has any control whatsoever. The Governor-General is the highest person in authority in this country. He's supposed to be. Why isn't ours? Oh, he's a member of Parliament. Go look at the stupid acts they think they passed. They're acts, they're a joke. They're pretending that they're real. They're not real. They're a fraud. The lot are a fraud. What you really have is state frauds and federal frauds, and they call them parliaments. They're full of political parties that lie. They run on smoke mirrors and bull dust. That's all they can ever run on. Because nothing that comes out of there is truth. None of their so-called laws are laws. That's why we have the authority under our Constitution. If the laws are passed contrary to our Constitution or above the authority granted by it, we can just ignore it. Decisions of our court, we can ignore with impunity. The High Court's ruled that several times. We're only bound to laws made pursuant to our Constitution. We're only bound to decisions made pursuant to our Constitution. Everything else is nothing but lies. It is time people woke up. Who calls the Parliament to sit? Not the Prime Minister, not the Premiers. The Governor of the States calls the states to sit after the Governor of the State, he or she, doesn't matter, it doesn't say, puts the laws together with the executive part of the government, which is 18 people from the state parliament. When they're put together, they debate them in Parliament when the governor calls them to Parliament. They're not there all the time. They're not paid this massive salary with a huge big bonus at the end of it. Read your Constitution and understand it. That is corruption at its highest. Why do we have to pay for these clowns to sit in our Parliament and lie and yell and carry on like idiots, criticising each other, calling each other all sorts of names, when that's nothing to do with what they're there for? They're there to debate and pass legislation. That is their sole purpose. They have no authority. And it's time people woke up. At the federal level, it's the same. The Governor-General selects 18 from the federal Parliament. 10 from the lower house, 8 from the Senate. They sit with him and they put laws together with the Attorney-General, who is a legal practitioner of more than 5 years, but not a lawyer. It states that in the Statute of Monopolies. That is the only authority for the Attorney-General. Why do we have a federal Attorney-General, Christian Porter, sitting in the federal Parliament? What the heck has got to do with him? What takes place? It's nothing to do with him. Why is he there? He's sitting in fraud because he's not allowed to be there. Our Constitution says so. Read section 62 to 68 of the Commonwealth Constitution in the annotated version. It'll tell you. You get a position like one of the portfolios. You cannot sit in the Parliament and vote. You're deemed to be biased. Doesn't mean you can't sit there and debate it. It means you have no vote because you're biased towards your portfolio. That's an obvious thing, something you would consider if you sat in the Parliament, that if you can influence it only by voting. So you can't vote. That's an obvious thing. And the state Parliament's the same. You can't do it. Who selects who holds those portfolios? The Governor at state level, the Governor-General at federal level. Read and learn your Constitution. Your federal sections of your federal Constitution are 62 to 68. By 107, 108 and 109 applies to the state Constitution anyway, regardless of what anyone thinks. Because they only continue. The states are created and continue under those sections. So that applies. 106 says state Constitution complies with the federal one. And reiterating the fact you can't have local government in the state Constitution. It's unlawful. It's a fraud. And it's passed by political parties so they can create them as the state parliaments and get rid of our state parliaments. You think that's a good thing? How much control do you have over your council? None. How much do you think you're going to have? None. It becomes dictatorial. You think a republic is freedom? No, it's not. Australian head of state we have. You're going to tell me that our Governor-General isn't Australian? He is. He's the head of state. What does he do? He uses the Crown of the United Kingdom to control our Parliament. Only they've made him a member of Parliament so they control him. That's treason. Treason against us. Because that is the check and balance for our Parliament. Instead, we've got an opposition. They oppose the House of Representatives. They oppose our representatives. How does that work? You have one load of people opposing the other load of people. both claim to be the opposition representatives. We didn't ask them to represent us. Who told them they could sit in Parliament? We didn't. The stupid Electoral Act, and it is stupid. Because people look at it and they, oh yeah, that's correct. That is a stupid thing to do. Very stupid for the point of justice, because you don't get any out of that system. It is time, people, to wake up, read your law and learn. The governor of the state select all the members of Parliament. They go to the federal Parliament, represent you. It's nothing to do with the federal Parliament who is elected. It's nothing to do with them. They are created from the states. You think it's not that way? Read your constitution and find out it is that way. It cannot be changed. It can't be changed.